Hi there folks, welcome to this Kelverion demonstration of the Integration Pack for data manipulation. The Integration Pack gives you named published data, extremely powerful data manipulation tools. It uses common patterns, XSLT, XQuery and regular expressions. It gives you centralized configuration across your objects and it streamlines your runbooks. This demonstration is going to look at the following three use cases: building a complex string from named inputs, building a SOAP request and processing a SOAP response, and processing CSV with embedded commas using regular expressions. The Integration Pack gives you two new activities, compose text and parse text, and each of those are configured through a general configuration. We specify an XML config file which contains the detail of how the activity is going to behave. As our first use case, we've got a set of inputs that we can see here: impact, priority, urgency, description, open date and submitter, and we're going to turn that into a text string to be passed on to a different application. What we're looking for is a simple and repeatable way to generate these text strings without overcomplicating our runbook. You can see here that we've got those inputs available in the object. Just updating one of those. I'm going to check that in and run it. We can see a previous attempt failed, and I'm going to explain why that happened in a moment, but let's just take a second to see if that's completed now. It has, and let's have a look at the output data. So we can see the output text in our expected format. If we take a quick look back to our config file, we'll see that there's basically a case statement in there. If we don't receive input in the format that we want, i.e. the priority isn't critical, high, medium or low, then we're going to throw an exception. If we go back to that previous run, we can see that's exactly what happened. You may have noticed I updated the priority at the start from the word test critical. That was why. So moving on to our next use case, we're going to look at interaction with a web service, and this is probably something that you've tried before and you'll realize how complex it can become. There's lots of XML manipulation. We're going to use the compose text object to generate a SOAP request. We're going to use the parse text object to get the output from that request. So simple web service, given a latitude, a longitude and a date, it works out the sunrise and sunset times. So looking at our request, this is what the request should look like that's going to be passed. We can see we've got three inputs there: latitude, longitude and date. And we do some manipulation. All this, it looks complicated, it's quite straightforward and it's well documented in the user's guide to build the request that's required. If we move on to the response, we can see this is what the response should look like from the web service. And using two simple XPath queries, we're going to pull out that data and we're going to publish it to named fields, the named sunrise time and sunset time. If you try to do this stuff before, you'll know how big an advantage it is having named published data and the ability to apply multiple XPath queries in one go. It can become quite cumbersome and long-winded to do everything step by step. Once we've published that data, we're just going to create an event and publish it back again. So if we have a look through the previous execution, we can see the input parameters, date, latitude and longitude. Let's have a look at the compose text, and we're interested here in the output. And we can see there, well-formed XML in the format that we wanted, or indeed the format that the web service requires. We'll execute the web service, and we can see the request payload as we've just passed it through. And if we have a look at the response, and again XML response, we can see some details in there, difficult to pick out by eye. But if we look at the published data from the parse text, we can see the named sunrise time and sunset time with the values. And we did generate an event at the end of that workflow, and we can see there the details that we would expect. Good stuff. And our final use case, parsing CSV. Again, if you've tried this, you'll know the pain it can cause. I'm going to use a read line object just to get the input data, and I'm going to skip the header file. Again, just publish that that data into the parse text object, and you can see the output is again named fields. If we take a look at the config file, again, this should demonstrate some of the power that this integration pack will offer you. Let's take a quick look at the input first of all. So typical CSV line there, nothing complicated. On our second one though, we've got an embedded comma, and on our third line we've got both embedded commas and quotes. This is typical of the output that you might see from something like Excel. This time, rather than XPath, we're going to use regular expressions, and you can see I've been able to build a complex regular expression into my configuration. Basically have that same regular expression repeated each time, and each time we're going to capture a different field using it. If you've used regular expressions before, then you'll understand the power that this gives. If you haven't used regular expressions, then that was probably quite scary stuff. We can see we're generating events after this executes. Let's take a look, and that's completed, and let's take a look at those events. So you can see this was our second test, and you can see that the line of text, the message containing the comma, has been parsed out as a single field. The first test line, again the message, the whole message is there. And finally, the worst of all, multiple commas and double quotes, and again we can see the computer, the time and the message field are all parsed out correctly. Hopefully these examples will have demonstrated some of the power that this integration pack can give you. If you're interested in it or any of our other products, please take a look at our website www.kelverion.com. Thanks.